So I see it's now 12:30 Central. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Exploring Charts and Dashboards in Vorne XL. My name's Adam Moran. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Vorne Industries, and I'm going to be your host for this afternoon. So before we jump into the webinar, we want to get a couple of things, a couple of housekeeping issues cleared up. So the first thing is you will notice that you've been muted. We've got a lot of people on the call, and we really appreciate that. So for the format of questions, we're going to ask that you type any questions you have in the chat window. One of the Vorne team will address your question, and if it's a more generalized question, meaning applicable to more people, we'll go ahead and address it at the end of the call. If it's a more one-on-one question, we'll address it with you directly in chat, or if necessary, we'll arrange for a one-on-one call after this meeting. Now, additionally, a lot of people have asked about the ability to rewatch the video. So probably sometime tomorrow, you'll be getting an email link with the with a copy of our meeting today. We are recording it. And at the end of our meeting today, we've got a little bit of a sneak peek on our next version of firmware to kind of give you some ideas of what's coming out with that. So for the content of this meeting today, we're going to be focusing on our dashboards, specifically the nuts and bolts of how to create a chart within a dashboard. And the team presenting today is going to be my colleague, Matt Metalman. He's going to start off covering Vorne Vocab on how we use words and terms to define what's in the system. Then my colleague, Kelsey Laughlin, is going to go ahead and take you through actually creating a chart start to finish. So you will know what you need to do on your side if you would like to create a chart within a Vorne system. And then my colleague, Kristen Park, is going to show you how to take multiple charts combined with tables and other elements to create efficient reports and interfaces to help you drive behavior. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Matt, to talk about Vorne Vocab.
Thank you, Adam. And again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. So before we jump into the physical creation and strategy behind leveraging charts, I'd like to start by laying a strong educational foundation and providing some of the Vorne vocab you'll encounter in today's call. So let's start with a few basics. Metrics and dimensions serve at the forefront of every single chart you will create within Excel. Therefore, understanding their use cases will be important for creating effective charts moving forward. So metrics are therefore numeric values that measure a quantitative characteristic of production. In other words, metrics answer the question, what are you intending to track? Dimensions, on the other hand, are descriptive values. They refer to more qualitative attributes of production. Dimensions answer the question, how are you going to track it? In more mathematical terms, think of metrics and dimensions as the values that will eventually populate your X and Y axes on your charts. Understanding these terms and answering the two questions of what do I want to track and how am I going to track it will help you structure a logical report from the start. So next, let's start to unravel the mysteries of time. In the context of this webinar, we'll consider two varieties of time. The first variety is what we'll call continuous time. It represents continuous time across a selected time range. Although Excel will automatically select the default time unit, you can select your own desired unit of time in either hours, shift, days, weeks, months, quarters, or years with the time unit's control, as long as time is set as your dimension. The second variety of time is what we call date parts. They represent more discrete or defined portions of time. So date parts consist of the following. Hour represents the hour of production within a shift, such as shift hour 1, 2, 3, or 4, etc. Ordinal shift, which numerically orders shifts within a production day. This can be extremely useful when aligning shifts across multiple work centers or time zones that may or may not start at the same time or share the same shift name, but still represent the quote-unquote first shift of the day. Day of the week represents the 7 days of the week, Monday through Sunday. Week expresses the week of the year. We follow the ISO 8601 standard, which is the international standard. Month shows the month of the year. Quarter is the quarter of the year. And year displays the Gregorian year. So as you may have noticed, all of these examples utilize the same metric, which was OEE. However, we changed the dimension in each chart to demonstrate how data reacted on the x-axis over various time granularities. So keep this in mind for creating vastly different overviews for more strategic, tactical, or operational reports that have either shorter or longer time horizons. One additional time-related topic deals with the concept of a production day. Traditionally, a calendar day would represent 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. However, for convenience and reporting purposes, a production day represents an entire working day. So more specifically, we want to pull a full production day's worth of data that represents all scheduled and completed shifts, even if they were to cross midnight. So a common example of this are teams running 3 8-hour shifts, in which third shift starts in the evening and completes production the following morning. Rather than reporting a partial shift data in the daily numbers, we use the concept of a working production day in order for us to align and aggregate production data in your reporting. So now at this point, we focus primarily on how dimensions affect the way data is portrayed over time, but we're going to shift and speak about metrics in this final portion of the vocab section. When navigating through our list of metrics, you'll notice special metrics called metric sets. They are signified by a list and info icon to their immediate right, as seen in the image. Metric lists or sets are named in ordered collections of metrics that are inherently interesting when viewed together. So 2 examples would be OEE factors, which provides you with your OEE percents, along with the 3 accompanying factors, availability, performance, and quality. The second example is the production time percentages, which showcases percent run, percent down, and the planned stop percent, all adding up to 100% of your production time. Metric sets are a great way to quickly add multiple related metrics to your charts in a single selection, or to explore pre-configured sets you may not have otherwise viewed in relation to one another. Finally, when it comes to time, we assume that production line must be in one of 4 impact states at any given moment. So for clarity, the line is either actively in a run condition, down for an unplanned stop, down for a planned stop, or not scheduled to run at all. These impact values are then further defined by a production state and a reason. This provides a consistent way to view information, perform analytics, and generate reports. So I'd like to explain the special use case behind reasons and duration in this very final topic. Reasons describe time from your perspective, using terms that are familiar to your company. So reasons are particularly valuable for capturing information with a greater level of detail to help you address losses and drive improvement in a more action-oriented manner. You will see this explicitly showcased in the next section when leveraging downtime reasons in a Pareto chart to answer what specifically is driving your top downtime losses. Duration describes the length of an event, like a shift or a part run. However, it has a special use case in that it can aggregate time across reasons that fall under separate production states. So to help conceptualize this, imagine creating a report that specifically looks at the relation of mechanical downtime reasons and their respective maintenance events that might follow. The chart would need to aggregate time across both planned and unplanned reasons. We use duration in this instance to showcase the length of both subsets of reasons in a single chart. Now that everyone is an expert on the Vorne Vocab, let's start to put this into practice with Kelsey.
Thanks, Matt. Hopefully everyone can hear me. We've been having some technical issues. What I'm going to do here is show you how to actually create some of these charts. So Matt gave us a great foundation, lots of theory, and that's wonderful. And I'm actually going to show you how to create a downtime by reason Pareto chart. That'll be our finished product. I'm here on our main all production page. You're probably pretty familiar with it. And I'm just going to navigate here to the dashboard section. There are some built-in views in our dashboard section, but one great quality about this is we can create our own views by clicking on the view button and saying create new view. I'm going to call this my downtime dashboard. And we're just creating the single chart for this example, and you can always build around it. Kirsten's going to go into more detail about that later. I have a couple sections here. This is, again, the default dashboard, and I want our chart to really take up the most space. So I'm going to choose a one-column layout. You'll notice that the default for a new dashboard is last shift. So we'll be looking at data from the first shift of the day, which started at 11 p.m. yesterday and has a little bit of relation to what Matt was talking about with ordinal shift and production day and all that. I'm going to click Add Widget, and there's an option for many different widgets that we support. You can see the list goes all the way down, but we're going to choose the chart. That's what we're working on today. This is our default chart, which is OEE over time, and it's a line chart. We are going to go ahead and take a look at some of these metrics. The metric that's being shown, OEE, is a percentage metric, and we can add metrics with our single dimension of time. I'm going to add availability because it's one of the OEE factors, and it can really help to flesh out my OEE score here. You'll notice that I have these trend lines. Those are really to help you see over the course of the time range how things are going for you. And you can disable them simply by clicking on them. You can also choose only to view your trend lines and remove your data series and take a look there. So a lot of flexibility in what can be done with these. For now, we're going to show everything. And you'll notice that I have these 8 data points here. That's because I'm looking at last shift and I'm looking at the hour interval. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for me to try one of these other time units here because it's just going to be a single dot. So we're going to go ahead and leave it with the hour because that's going to give us the most information. But if you're looking at a larger time range, this is where you could zoom out to look at a different kind of curve, for example. Now what we're going to do is select our actual metric we want for this, which is downtime. Now you'll notice as I start typing in downtime, it's not available here. And that's because OEE and availability are both percentage metrics. So the Excel device has automatically hidden those unlike metrics to make it easier for you. Since we only want a single unit of measure on this y-axis, we don't want to mix time measurement and percentage measurement. So it's very simple. I'm just going to get rid of those 2 percentage metrics. Now I'll go in and type downtime, and you'll notice it immediately appears. And if I click OK, I have a line chart of downtime over time, similar to what we saw before, only reflecting downtime. Because we're not really interested in looking at time, we're looking at the reason. Which reasons accumulated the most downtime? We're going to go ahead and change our dimension. So I'll click here. And you'll notice that this is automatically changing to a Pareto chart. If I click on this control, which is called chart type, you'll notice that there are column type and heat map are also available for this metric and dimension combination, but Pareto is the one I'm looking for, and it's the best fit in this case. I have a Pareto chart. I could leave this completely as is. It's giving me great information that jam is our top-down reason and that it's accounting for about 25% of our downtime. But you'll notice these empty categories over here. And that's because reasons are not just, or downtime doesn't accumulate during reasons. So we're seeing reasons like break and lunch. Those don't accumulate downtime. To clean this up a little bit, we're going to click on the filter. We're going to add an expression using production state. And we're going to choose to only look at the downtime accumulated during down, which is going to be our most accurate. And now we have this beautiful chart, and Kirsten is going to tell you a little bit more about how you can add on to that and really use it strategically, tactically, or operationally. Go ahead, Kirsten.
Thanks, Kelsey. Let's get back to our PowerPoint. Hi, everybody. All right. So, yeah, we are absolutely going to get into the reporting a little bit more. And thanks, Kelsey, so much for showing us how to make a Pareto for downtime reasons. We're going to take that chart and put it into context of a full dashboard. So up top, you'll notice that we have two KPI widgets comparing percent down of last week versus this week. So you can get a broad sense of if your team is improving on a week-to-week basis. You can clearly see here that, so far this week, we're actually falling behind. Now, this example, we're viewing data from two different bottling lines where the information is aggregated to the bottling area. And this is really helpful when we're monitoring production lines with similar processes and challenges. And for a more detailed look as to what's happening, we're going to refer to the chart and table widgets below, which are only showing information for this week. Now, as we already saw, the chart on your left is detailing your top downtime reasons for the week in a Pareto chart. And we're supplementing that chart with information from a table. Our table is detailing information for the longest downtime event for this week, sorted by duration. And it pulls in comments to give you more context to the specific reason codes. Now, this table also highlights during what shift did this down event occur on and what production line did the event occur on. So let's look at the first row on the table. And it lets us know that on bottling line 2, we had a breakdown during first shift that lasted for over 27 minutes due to a mechanical issue of a certain component. We're getting quite a bit of information here, and this seems like, maybe an anomaly, and it might not require any action at this time. But I want you to look at the middle rows on the table, and you'll notice that we have 5 down events with a reason code of jam, which also happens to be the #1 reason code on our Pareto chart. And 4 out of these 5 downtime reasons occurred on bottling line 2. We have some additional information in the comments, but really not enough to go on. And the repeated nature of this issue is definitely a cause for concern. Our logical next action would be to go and investigate and see if there's a larger issue at hand. So the idea of this report is to really help support a tactical perspective so that your team can easily review improvement progress and gain insights into areas that still need attention for the week. Now, the next report we're going to look at is tailored to support production from an operational level by detailing data for smaller chunks of time for a single work center. You'll notice that the bar chart is displaying good rate versus target rate for each hour, while the top chronogram is detailing the actual metric values to support the chart view, just to make it really easy and really clean to look at. Now, the bottom chronogram is showing multiple metrics for the same hourly time intervals. We've got our good count, our target count, and the hourly efficiency. Now, the last 2 rows of our bottom chronogram are showing parts and production states to give us an added level of information to help, supervisors and managers really understand the nuances of a particular shift hour that might have a low efficiency. Now, we can easily look at shift hour 1 on the bar chart and see that we did not meet our target rate for that hour. And the chronogram gives us context by showing 3 down events that occurred in the first hour and resulted in that lower efficiency for the shift hour and for the part. We can also observe that shift hours 6 and 7 on all of these widgets, there was a very large down event coupled with additional smaller ones spanning the duration of part G. Now, it would be crucial for us to view the comments, understand the downtime reasons, and collaborate with production to investigate, what external or internal reasons contributed to these losses. And that really helps us to take an active role in the improvement process. And again, the intention of this dashboard is to be able to respond more quickly to real-time data and take actions quickly. Moving to our last dashboard, the previous report was primarily focused on performance metrics in real time. Now, let's say that, performance loss or just performance across our parts is a known issue on all levels. And we wanted to create a dashboard that was a little bit more focused on the big picture of performance loss. You'll see here we have your performance KPIs up top by month to date, quarter to date, and year to date. And then we also have 2 charts detailing performance data in 2 different ways. The first chart on the left is your OEE performance percentage for each part that was run over the last 90 days, separated out by the month. And it's really easy and clear to see that we have three troubled parts that need some attention: part E, part M, and part P. The chart on the right shows the same information using time rather than a percentage. And it specifically details performance lost time, which tells us how much production time we've lost due to the process running at less than our ideal cycle time or the theoretical max speed. So from a strategic standpoint, we can see maybe some slight improvements on a month-to-month basis, but compared to the rest of the parts, these parts E, M, and P are really still struggling, and they need some additional attention and collaboration with your tactical and operational teams, specifically utilizing the previous report to kind of manage these parts' performance on a daily basis. And so if you were at our last webinar, we discussed that reporting is both informative and interactive among all levels of management, and it requires effective collaboration and communication with real-time data informing your team at every challenge and opportunity you face. And so we hope that this helps you feel more empowered to really leverage the Excel technology to make reporting automated and easily maneuverable to really fit your needs. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Adam for Q&A.
All right, thanks, Kirsten. So we've had a couple of great questions popping up in the chat, and I'm going to address Corey's question first. So the question is what happens when somebody forgets to scan a downtime code? So the Vorne XL Productivity Appliance will log that downtime event as a downtime event with a reason of missing reason that will show up on the charts and graphs as a reason with a duration. But as a user, you can go and correct that in the edit data system on the device. Additionally, there were a couple of good questions. People came back and they said, "Hey, your scoreboard, your web page looks different from mine." I'm going to ask my colleague Kelsey to take control for a moment and pop her web page interface. So this will take just a moment. Okay, so what I want to direct everyone's attention to, at the bottom of this page, it says Vorne XL 2.17.2.3. Now, the only thing we really care about, frankly, is the 2.17. That represents the version and firmware build. So this is what we call a version 2 system. Many customers might have a powered by Vorne XL 1.14. That's a version 1 system. Version 1 systems can be upgraded to version 2. It requires swapping a logic board. So if that applies to you, feel free to reach out in the chat, and one of my team will go ahead and address it so we can set up a time to talk about what would be involved with going ahead and getting you updated to version 2. So I'm going to ask my colleague Kirsten to bring back up the PowerPoint presentation for a moment. And we're going to jump to slide 19, please. So we had mentioned we're going to show you a little bit of a sneak peek at version 2.18. So our current shipping version is version 2.17. We're going to have version 2.18 coming out a little bit later this spring. We're looking at a pre-release in the February timeframe. So we're just going to go ahead and show you some of the features. There we go. That's our sneak peek. So those are some of the new features that we'll have coming. So feel free again to reach out to any member of the Vorne team. We've still got a couple of custom questions coming through, and we're addressing them. So we're going to stay on for a while after this call. If we could advance to the next slide, so we've got everyone's contact information. Great. So again, there's our phone numbers. There's our email addresses. We are happy to set up one-on-ones with everybody if you've got questions about your Vorne system, or if you don't have a Vorne system and you've just got questions on your own reporting, we're happy to discuss that with you also. So, hey, Ellie, how are you? So we will go ahead and be answering these questions. At this point, we are going to go ahead and close off the visual portion of our meeting today. But again, we're going to stay on answering questions for a little bit longer. So we appreciate everyone's time. We hope this was valuable for you. Next month, we are going to have another presentation. We don't know the subject yet, so keep your eyes out. We'll be sending out an email to invite you when we launch that. But if you do have questions, again, we're going to have the chat window open for a while longer, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So with that, thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.